for June 22nd, 2026, and we'll start with a roll call.
Hoffman.
Here.
Pills absent. Weirs. Rebels here. Smith.
Smith. Here.
All right, all but one of us is here. Stand up and join me for the pledge, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. John, would you mind to lead us in a prayer?
Dear Lord, help us to make good decisions for our community, and bless our mayor as he delves into getting all this information for us, and help us to all get along. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Speaking, well, I'll wait for that. So we'll do the approval of minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve the June 8th minutes.
I'll second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Did you hear that, Richard?
Yes.
Okay.
All right, minutes approved. We'll start with my mayor report. One thing that's not on here, I don't know if people saw, I think I sent it to the council, but there was a nice editorial about how we worked together in the paper a couple weeks ago, so I want to thank you guys all for that. Just shows how we work together, and I just appreciate all of you. Oops, not that. Yep. I can't find my notes on my mayor's report, so I'll wing it. So we started a new, there's a new public information website on the TAI district that we spoke about last meeting. As soon as Jamie gives me the official okay on it, we'll get that out there on the website for the community to see. I can, show real quick, just talk about what it is. Basically, it's got a section about what it is, why we're considering it, what our proposed ordinance is, concerns, FAQs, updates, all sorts of things on here that we'll continue updating as we go through this process. So that will be online hopefully in the next day or two, and will be a link on the main website for that. The next thing I want to talk about was last Monday I traveled to Minooka, Illinois, which is a city that is very similar to ours, a little bigger than we are, but they're very similar to ours, and they've got a huge power plant and transmission lines on one side of the highway and a city on the other side. And they just went through the process of creating these zones or districts for their city, and ours are actually kind of modeled after what they did. And they did, once they got that in, they did get a data center came in, and they negotiated, got all the details on it. And there's more information on that website about that. But I want to mention to you guys that I did do that. Had some good conversations with the city administrator and their economic director. Some interesting things that I thought for, they talk about jobs with these things, and of course nothing can be guaranteed, of course, but each building in their complex that they're doing is going to be 20 to 25 jobs, averaging 135,000 a year. So for a city our size, that's a pretty good chunk of jobs. I was kind of surprised that it was that many. But again, there's just a lot of stuff on there on that site about that. And if you guys have any questions about my visit, I'm happy to answer any.
What kind of jobs were those?
Mostly they're going to be like networking, IT type jobs. There'll be like security and janitorial and stuff like that too, but mostly the higher paying jobs.
So how long was their process? Did the community fight against them and all that?
They had a few different town hall type meetings where they brought experts in, people that didn't have skin in the game, to kind of talk about what it is, how's power work, how does water work, the noise, all those types of things that people have concerns about, They brought in experts to kind of explain that. People were able to ask questions, very similar to what I think we should do here. Um, um, yeah,
And by the way, I thought it was very nice, the TAI thing you put together.
oh, thank you. I spent a little time on that. What else? Basically, I mean, there's some things in there where like their city did not pay for all these studies and everything. They put the onus on the people that wanted to come in and do that. They initially wanted to come in and use evaporative cooling, and they were like talking to 4 or 5 million gallons of water a day, and they said, no, we can't do that. Same thing, no, we can't do that. So they're using like a closed loop cooling systems and stuff like that. So there's, you know, they basically said that they use as much water as, or less water than their splash pad does, is what's projected. So,
Was there a noise that you could hear in there?
well, theirs are still being built right now, so it was a big field of dirt, you know, as there.
Okay.
But I did drive to Elk Grove Village, Illinois, while I was there, and there's data centers there built by the same company that's building theirs, and I heard no appreciable noise. I mean, it was just, it's a building, looks like a warehouse without truck doors.
Yeah.
Is pretty much what they were. You know, there were some generators behind a fence. There was like cooling stuff all on top of the building. In contrast to what some of you may have seen in Pennsylvania in the news the last couple of days, apparently there's a data center that just got built right across the street from a residential neighborhood. I mean, just right across the street. And that data center also is not connected to the power grid, so it's constantly running off diesel generators.
Yeah.
That one's going to be a little noisy.
Yeah.
That obviously is not something that we would consider here.
But even so, that you must saw the same thing I did, where the reporter was talking to people,
Yeah,
but you just didn't really notice.
yeah,
And then the lady she was interviewing is like, when they went right up by it, yes, it was
Yeah.
very loud. And she's like, well, now you see what we get most of the time. It's like, so the one time they came out here, you weren't really hearing it?
yeah.
But obviously, when you get close to the building like that.
Yeah, yeah, and there are things, dampening devices and things that can be put in to help that. And you know, like we said, if we did anything, allowed anything, it would be like that on the other side of 69, which is a half a mile from Ullery even.
Now,
So,
does this one you went to, did they have some type of barrier like 69 highway?
kind of, it is, so that their city, that's, Manuka is a lot like ours, where they've got the big power plant and transmission lines on one side of the highway, and then the city on the other side. So it's pretty much the same way as the highway separation of the.
Because that noise would go up
Yeah,
from the side of it.
yeah.
At least that's how they work on the silence walls.
Yeah. And like, I know, you know, Jamie has talked about going to Omaha and looking at the Google data center there, and one of the things I want to do on a couple other visits is I want to get a decibel meter to take, so we can measure, you know, real ones right next to them, and then, you know, further away to kind of get our own judgment of what that is.
What about lights?
So they don't need to be lit up, you know, bright lights at all, because they're not, they don't have a lot of people coming and going.
Okay.
And a lot of communities do dark sky lighting provisions, which is it's either in ours or it will be in ours.
Well, it was
So
in that
that,
TAI.
hmm?
It was in that TAI.
Okay, I thought I put it in there, yeah. So basically, they don't broadcast up into the air, you know, they kind of get covers on them, so they're, you know, it illuminates their parking area and stuff, but not. And unfortunately, I wasn't there at night, so I couldn't actually see what that one looked like at night. But, you know, when we go up to Omaha, I'll be able to do that.
A lot of people think of like the power plants,
Yeah.
how lit up they are, but that's because people are working, like
Yeah.
actively working.
Yeah, and also these are like, the ones that I saw, they're like 40 foot tall. You know, they're not a big skyscraper kind of thing. I don't, with, you know, what's on the other side of 69 there, I don't know if you even see it driving by. Maybe the very top of it, but,
Is Omaha complete?
yeah,
Oh, yeah.
Omaha's is complete and operational Google data center. Another interesting thing I found, on the water side of it, that AWS is committed to returning more water than they use by 2030. How they're gonna do that, I don't know. But they are they've got some stuff where they're committing to actually return more water than they use. So, again, you know, for anybody listening and stuff out there, this is not a done deal by any means. We're just getting ourselves out there because our close proximity to power and transmission lines, it will, they will come. And speaking of, if we're done with the questions out, I've got something kind of on the they will come. If there's any questions, no more questions on my Manuka visit. So Friday the 12th, I believe it was, Lisa Beecraft got a phone call and an email from Silverton Power, who is inquiring about a battery energy storage system over there by the Evergy substation over there by the fire department. They're looking to buy or lease about an acre of land to put a system like that in. I did ask them some questions. They got back to me, and I think that was in your packet, some of their information. That's as far as it has gone. I think, you know, the next steps would be for me and one or two council people to meet with them to get more information about exactly what it is. But battery energy storage is not noisy at all. Basically, they put in buildings of batteries that we can put behind a nice pretty fence and, you know, all that. And they buy energy when it's cheap or at night or whatever, and then they use it just to enhance the grid during high demand, to sell it back to the power companies. Confusing to me how that kind of works. I mean, it seems like, hey, I'm going to buy this power from you when it's cheap, and I'm going to sell it back to you when it's expensive. But apparently, that's a thing.
Oh yeah, that's the thing in society everywhere.
So I just want, you know, and you know, one thing, you know, I want to make sure that everybody understands. I knew nothing about that Silverton thing when we started talking about this 2 weeks ago. That Friday after we talked about it, and I think it was just a timing thing. I don't think it had anything to do with the fact that we talked about it, because I don't think anybody's cruising our YouTube channel that much to hear it. But they did reach out, you know, a few days later and say, hey, we're interested. It wouldn't be a huge amount of money, maybe $30,000 to $50,000 a year between taxes and lease payments, but
It's worth looking into.
yeah.
And where's that 1 acre of land that they're wanting to,
You know where the substation is, right over there by the fire department, that Evergy thing that's got the power transformers and stuff?
yes.
They want to be close to that.
Is there anywhere else we can put them?
That's something to have questions on, definitely.
I would say they need to be close to that, because that's where they're pulling that.
Right. You know, and that's on, you know, it could be behind that, it could be a fence
Yeah.
around it, so it could be hidden, you know, and it's over there on that lagoon land. That's not really good for anything else. So it's definitely questions, a lot of questions we're gonna wanna ask them, and talk to other places where they put them in and all that kind of stuff, but, you know. we'll
Yeah, I
make sure
think their
that-
proposal was $7,500
Quarter.
a quarter.
Yeah. And then, you know, we would get, you know.
Seems kinda cheap.
Yeah, it's all negotiations, you know, and, you know, what will be, and, you know,
Yeah.
generally, things like that too, they'll pay us a fee to come in and do the study, kinda like a, you know, a looking fee or whatever you wanna call it. And then upfront payments on top of that, and then, whatever our lease and taxes that we would get out of it. Could be enough to fund a city hall.
Yeah. I understand this is just their proposal to us. I don't know, Jamie, if you've had a chance to really dig into it, but it seemed like they were retaining more power than what I would like to see them have.
You know,
Yeah, but you gotta remember though, I mean, I do it all the time where my client wants the moon, so they send it over going, they want the moon. And then somebody comes back and goes, you don't get the moon, you might get a tenth of it.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
understand. There's a negotiation process, but
Yeah.
But on these deals, especially now with how things are with, you know, data centers and battery centers, they're gonna start off with, we don't want full tax breaks, we want this, we want this, we want
Yeah.
this.
Mhm.
And I get it, I mean, you can ask, but it's not reality, but it's more of a negotiation than a typical negotiation, because they want the world thinking that they're the end all be all to fix whatever issue may be, which is not correct.
Right.
I get it.
7,500 is really low.
Yeah.
Really, 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 really.
It was offensively low, like a plaintiff's attorney making a demand to me on one of my cases,
But,
offensively high.
but it could be, but the flip side to it is, you don't know unless you ask, and I'm sure there are some cities that really, really need that 30,000 that are gonna go, okay.
Yeah.
I mean, so,
Yeah,
Yeah,
Well, we get offended by every time they try and offer us to buy out.
Yeah.
the 100 grand?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
And that hasn't changed since I've been here.
Right.
It's always the same offer every year.
you know,
Before me, it was about 100,000. And then when I started, June 19th, they found out that I started, so immediately they sent it to me going, this is the best deal ever. And I looked at the old deals, we're still the same. And then I think every year we get the exact same thing, where it might change by $100.
they could at least increase it with CPI every year,
Something,
you know,
right.
something. But, you know, it's kind of those situations where they need us more than we need them, so,
Yeah.
not saying that we hold all the cards by any means, but we do hold some of them anyway. That's all I had for my mayor's report. Any questions on any of that from anybody? I will tell you a tip though, when you fly to Chicago and back in one day, make sure that you grab your keys from security on the way home. Otherwise, they get left in Chicago and you have to pay money to get them back.
Your card keys?
Mm-hmm.
Where you buy yours?
I had somebody with me, so I had it, I could get home, but
Oh, man.
that was not a good feeling going in the truck and going, So tip for everybody, make sure when you go through security, you get your keys back. Okay, that's just more of things that I was just talking about. Water project, Mr. Castro.
Good evening, everybody.
good evening.
All right, quick update on the water project. Project's sitting at 52%, about 52% complete as of the end of May. So we're tracking, Headinger's tracking right on target with their calendar days that they've got in the contract. They're about 52 to 55% complete. So no delays really there in terms of where we anticipate them being over the next, basically until next year in May. So good progress there. Just this last month, they completed over 6,000 feet of line, 21 new valves, 7 fire hydrants. A couple of big highlights that I wanted to just know. Last time I was here, we talked about the connection from the new system and the new line, water from Lacine, and making the connection into the existing POA lines. That happened. So far, everything's, we had I think 2 meters that we had some issues with, but other than that, we haven't heard of any real big issues with making that connection. There was a few hiccups here and there, but just kind of growing pains, but now water's flowing, the meter's been swapped out. So that whole area on right around the lake now is brand new water, nice clean water from Lacine. So I'm happy to report that. The other thing Headinger reported earlier today at our progress meeting, they got 7 lines that kind of run off of the transmission main down by kind of near the campground, but what road is that down there?
Holiday.
Holiday.
Off of Holiday. So there's 7 lines down there. They're dead end lines, but they now have all been passed all their testing, pressure testing, bacteria testing, and they've got meters installed on those lines. So those lines are ready to go active. If they haven't already today, they'll be doing it tomorrow. So those lines will be ready for folks to go ahead and get connected onto those lines. And so we're now at the point where folks are now starting to get the ability to connect to those meters and get basically added into the city's system. So we've hit a couple of big milestones there. Let's see. On the water line job, I did want to bring, I believe the mayor had it, I don't know if it was in the packet, the change order 4, the proposed change order 4. Do you know if it made it into the?
No, it
I
probably didn't.
don't mind going over it here. So we proposed a change order number 4 in the total amount of $59,000. That's for 2 items. So one item is here at the crossing of Ullery. There's a bore that we got to make across the street. It's an 8-inch bore. We heard from the county during construction I think there were some questions on the ownership of that road. It's a county road. The county requires, utility crossings across that street to be in an encasement. So it's an 8-inch line, the encasement needs to be a 16-inch line. So that bore and the materials and the effort to do it are, for that line item alone it's $39,000 for that bore. And what that comes down to is, I think in total that's 15,000 essentially, I'm doing some rounding here, 15,000 materials and 24 in labor. It's gonna take Hettinger, it's all rock, and it's a 16-inch bore. So we talked to the county and made a request for a revision or essentially a variance to their permit. So it's a permit requirement for that line. The county requires any utility crossing that's less than 12 inches to be encased. We made the argument that it's in rock. The rock's gonna function as encasement. We wouldn't propose ever to do a casing there just because, but it's a county requirement. The county didn't want to leave, or basically they wouldn't give us a variance on their permit requirements. So we asked Hettinger to put together a change order for that, and that's what is in the amount of the $39,000. There's not really, unless if the city were attempting to pull some strings with the county, which I don't know where that could go, there's not really a way around this one, unfortunately. It is what it is in order to meet the requirements of the permit with the city. And so yeah, so that's one of the items. The second one is more of an optional one. Given some of the issues that we've seen with the fill station, the fill pipe is up at about 10 feet, which is great for water trucks. They pull right underneath it, the water fills, it works just fine. For residents with smaller trucks, shorter trucks, and a tank in the back, to be able to make that connection, we're aware that residents have had some issues trying to get up there and either install their own pipe to bring the water down to the tank. So we looked into an upgrade at the fill station to add in a separate 2-inch fill line. So there would be the 4-inch overhead. There's the pail fill on the side, that's just a 3/4 inch. That would be very slow to try to fill up a 1,000-gallon tank. So kind of a middle ground is a 2-inch option. That 2-inch option to retrofit the fill station would be in the amount of about $20,000. I did want to note, one of the corresponding things we also looked into was getting that existing fill station that we've been discussing in the past. USDA gave the okay and KDHE gave the okay to let that thing operate. So it's a $1,500 meter, $1,000 meter, and Hettinger is going to charge about $400 with some rounding. It's about $1,500 to install a new meter at the existing fill station. So the existing fill station can come back online for the POA to use for their water trucks. And an alternative to doing this 2-inch fill, that would be $20,000, would be, instead of adding that brand new 2-inch line in the system, would simply be to extend the hose down. It'd be maybe a couple $100 worth of pipe. That would work for residents, and then if the POA would want to use that fill station, they would simply need to either manipulate the hose to get it into the top of the truck or disconnect it when they fill their truck and then reconnect it when they leave. But it would kind of be, I think, this is kind of a discussion point for the city. It could be where you could prioritize the fill station to work for your residents as opposed to the POA filled water trucks. If the POA, which they do, now would have the opportunity to use their old fill station like they have in the past. So the fill station, my understanding is that the POA is offered to pay for that meter install there. So that's no cost. It's not included in the change order. That can just simply happen. I think the POA is really interested in getting that up and running. So as soon as Hettinger can get that thing in and ordered and installed, that will be up and running again. And so really the question to the council at this point is regarding change order number 4, whether or not to include that 2-inch add-in at the new fill station. And I can answer whatever questions you have.
I guess I'm a little confused because my impression was that the reason the old fill station was having to be decommissioned was because KDHE would not allow the use of that. Now all of a sudden we have KDHE has magically said, oh, you can use it now.
Yeah, so, and I can take a little bit of the onus on that. My understanding was that it was not gonna be allowed by KDHE. So once we called them, it was that, and then the other issue was with USDA. So USDA, we were concerned about the potential loss of funding if we were to allow something to exist that we had shown in our application and in our plans that it was gonna be decommissioned. So in the original plan, the wastewater, or the water treatment facility and the existing fill station were gonna be decommissioned for the installation of the new fill station. And the way it works with USDA, you can run afoul of them by deviating from their plan. And so, kind of out of caution, we didn't want to run that risk. So, and then correspondingly, I was concerned about the issues with the way the fill station works is not how typical fill stations work when you have good pressure. Normally, you would have a valve and it would go and it just run up into the fill station, and that's how the fill station would work, and it would run off the pressure from the system. The way the current fill station works is there's a holding tank for the water, which is a potential contamination source. If that thing's managed, which my understanding is the POA tests their water every time they're filling their trucks, making sure that water's okay. KDHE does not, the only concern KDHE has for a fill station is whether or not there's what's called an air gap. And that fill station, since it has a pipe that comes down and there's a gap to where the truck is, it meets that requirement. So when we checked with KDHE basically said, we don't care, we only care about whether or not there's a air gap. If there's an air gap, it can stay. So if you have concerns about what I said at previous meetings, having that concern that KDHE wouldn't allow it, that was a concern. KDHE basically came back and said they don't have a concern and that it's okay to have it.
My concern is that we spent money on a new fill station and set it all up, and now all of a sudden, we're looking at
Well,
keeping an old fill station and having a new fill station. Is this old fill station solely for the POA operation of delivering water? Or are individual property owners who fill their tanks also going to be able to utilize that?
Sure, I understand that concern. So the existing fill station is on private property. It's on POA property. It's also old, and basically we would have been putting if we wanted to keep that one, we would have put the new fill station that is now in its place right now, we would have put it back in that spot, that we were always gonna do a new fill station. So after discussions during the planning process, the location that we have in the plans was this, that was, I don't know exactly when, but that was before I came on board. There was different folks at BG and different folks at the city that made the decision to place the new fill station where it is. And the plan was always, okay, well, we're getting a new fill station, where are we gonna put it? We're gonna put it in this location, the old one's going away. So, to your second question about whether or not that existing fill station, now that it can be used, can work for residents, that is basically a POA question. Because it's not city property, it's not a city-owned fill station. The city's responsibility and ownership ends at the meter. So there's an existing water line, runs to a meter at the fill station, that way the city can charge and get revenue from every time anyone pulls water out of the fill station. But beyond that, it's not the city's infrastructure. So it's not your pipes or your fill station, you're not in charge of maintaining it, you're not in charge of replacing it. And if it falls apart and the POA can't use it anymore, my understanding is that's the POA's responsibility. So
Essentially, it's a commercial meter.
yes,
Yeah.
I think functionally, yes, it's a good way to think about it.
And to follow up, because I was there before he was in relation to it, it initially was KDHE did not want, they wanted a new state, they wanted a new one in, they wanted that one to be decommissioned. So, that is correct, that's initially what they did want. I don't think anybody can answer why the KDHE or any facet of government changes their mind every 30 seconds. I'm just being honest. So, but initially it was that KDHE did not want that, they wanted that decommissioned. And that's part of the reason why there's the new station. That was always in the plan to have a new station and not hook up all new lines and everything else to an old outdated system.
Could they have changed their mind because now it's a private fill station versus a,
If you honestly want me to play the guessing game with the government, we'll be here all night. I'm just being
Well, see,
honest, I truly don't know.
It could be on something there.
It could be.
We couldn't have our fill station on private property.
yeah.
Correct.
So we had to have our fill station on public property. But that might have something to do with the POA reaching out or him reaching out for the POA, I don't know. But it was a definite for sure,
Correct.
6 years ago that thing was gone.
And even Paul was with BG, and that was
Yes.
a conversation he and I had about it as well, and that was a definite, no, it's gonna be decommissioned, so.
The only other thing I just want to tag in here is, ideally, the way this whole project could have gone if there were unlimited funds is we would have put lines in your entire community, and there would no longer be a need for a fill station to deliver water to customers. USDA kept that in the project because there was only gonna be so many limited funds, the water system can only cover so much area. So there was always gonna be a contingent of folks, kind of a remainder of folks that are still gonna be dependent on delivery of either going and getting their own water or having delivery. So we were always gonna have a fill station with this project. But if USDA could give us unlimited funds and have their way, they would have said, okay, well, there's no need for fill stations, so everyone's just gonna have water, so.
I got another question for you, Aaron. Is that in your, gonna do restoration of the roads when they're done?
Yes, if they've damaged any road, it's in the contract, if they've damaged any roads that weren't called to be, if it wasn't a
Well, I
location
know
where there's a pipe
Holiday
crossing it.
really tore up.
So it'll be part of the final walkthrough that we'll do, is know any locations where, if, obviously they've gotta restore the locations if they've done a road crossing and cut through the pavement.
Yeah, but this is
Install
all
pipe,
the
and if
way
they've got
down.
other locations where just because of dump trucks or machines and they've damaged property, they're responsible to put that back to like new, or not like new, but like as
Well, it's
is.
just chip and seal that was there, so.
Sure,
I was just curious if
Yes.
they're gonna chip and seal, mill and chip and seal when they're
and
done.
we haven't gotten to that conversation with Hettinger simply because there's quite a ways yet to go, and this would be, in my opinion, the wrong time to do any restoration like that on the road until we knew for sure they were no longer gonna be in an area. But as they're continuing to kind of work, I think they told us today, they've got 4 or 5 crews working kind of all over, meter crews, installation crews doing new lines, to try to make sure they're staying on schedule. Yeah, it's definitely a topic that we need to keep in mind now as we move toward the end of the project. Any other questions? Yes, so the change order?
Yeah,
Yeah, so basically that's the question posed to you, and it's up to you guys if you wanna make this decision now. One option is, I combine these in change order number 4, they don't need to be combined. We can simply, if the city wants to move forward with the change order, just for the Ullery bore, that is, in no uncertain terms, is kind of a have to do. If you wanna move forward with that, I can rewrite this. I think if the council can make an action, I'll defer to the city attorney here, but I believe if the council were to make an action to approve just that part of the change order, I could rewrite the change order and have the mayor sign that. We can move forward with that portion if we wanted to continue discussion on this potential modification at the fill station, or if the council wanted to make a decision to not move forward at all with the 2-inch.
Are they ready to bore?
Yes.
They've
And
been
they have
bored.
They've been bored.
They're already actually working on.
Under the
board.
road
They don't
already?
have,
Mhm.
what Hettinger doesn't have is they have not yet ordered their materials, simply because they didn't wanna order them. And I let them know, I was feeling pretty confident that that portion of the change order was likely to be approved, but if they were to order their materials, I don't know if they'd be doing it at risk, simply because they didn't have a signed change order in hand. But they are already boring.
Yeah, I don't think we have any choice on that one.
If we don't have any stroke with the county to try and persuade them, then I think we have to.
It does
Our
lead
other
to,
option is to just let them open cut through the street there and then do it in the middle of the night and then ask for forgiveness later. I don't know how the county would handle
I
it.
think
I
it
wouldn't
does,
advise that.
I think it does open up, I mean, Mindy has already reached out to the county on the actual ownership of these roads. If they're claiming ownership of Ullery and saying we had to get a permit that we didn't think we were gonna have to get, and we have to create this $40,000 in boring expense, if that's not our road, then why are we supposed to maintain it? And if they're supposed to maintain it and these quarries are supposed to maintain it, 2400 road is in pretty bad shape, and so is Ullery right there at that junction.
Yeah.
Well,
We
even
need to-
further.
We need to start having some meetings with some people.
Yeah, we got some
to-
potholes that need filled,
Well, you look at as you turn on to,
big holes.
look at as you turn on 2400 road and come up here, there's a section of the road heading here on that side of the road that's starting to fall into the,
Oh.
into the ditch, and that, that's not a little bit of a drop off in
No,
that
that's a
ditch.
pretty good ravine down
yeah.
there. Could lose a compact car in it.
Yeah, or two.
So we don't have a choice on the encasement, but we do need to discuss, do you want the 2-inch line put on there?
My recommendation, since the POA is reactivating theirs, and we're gonna be able to extend the hose on the new one, that we don't need to spend the $20,000. But-
I have concerns about,
That's what I was
was
thinking, Richard.
is there,
You know, but when we start having, them look into this, that the POA fill station opening back up and all that wasn't a thing.
Yeah.
And we were needing to figure out something for the residents, and then, you know, now we can,
So how much is the change order? 39,000, right?
Yeah, so I'll just give you the exact number, it's 38, just for the bore,
yeah.
it's in the amount of $38,936.70.
I wrote it down.
and the 2-inch pipe is for the new fill station,
Yes,
for an adjustment.
yeah,
I just have concerns about, I understand it's not our property, but I wanna make sure the citizens of Lynn Valley know if they use the old fill station, then they're accepting the quality of the water as the POA has it, because there's a holding tank there, right?
correct.
And it's not coming straight from our line.
It has to go, the way it's plumbed is it goes through the cistern, there's pumps in the cistern that pump it up through the
It's
Sorry,
my
they technically don't
understanding
have
that
to
the
turn the pumps
POA is
on.
not gonna allow anybody but themselves to use it.
I think I heard that in the meeting the other day.
Yeah.
Does it have the same waste like up there where that pipe empties, so like every time they
No.
pump 10 gallons of water?
I understand, no, I'm speaking a little out of turn here, we have not done an analysis on that existing
Okay.
fill station.
No, it doesn't.
So, yeah, all right,
It doesn't
that was my
wastewater
understanding too.
like
Okay.
that.
Okay.
All right. With that said, I would make a motion to accept the change order for $38,936.70 for a 16-inch casing for the bore that's going across the over.
I second.
All in favor?
I
Did you,
said aye.
okay. Motion carries. And then I assume, do we need a motion that we're going to table the other one or not do the other one?
No,
or
we just don't do
okay.
anything with it.
Alrighty.
Okay,
Any other questions for Aaron?
I do have an update on, I was gonna give it a quick update on the wastewater.
Oh, yes, there's good news there too.
Yeah,
Yes.
so just a quick update. I think everyone was aware that there was the last piece of documentation that went off to USDA to get a final signature, basically a concurrence that the agreement was in place and that it met all their USDA requirements. Jamie had signed the city's end. We were waiting on USDA signature. Given the shakeups with staffing, there's no longer a Kansas engineer, so it had moved to USDA. It was looking for an engineer somewhere, and we were just in this holding pattern. Fortunately, we do have a contact that with one Kansas USDA person. He's not the person typically that would sign these, but he gave the okay today in writing that we can issue a notice to proceed to the contractor. So we now have notice to proceed that's gone to Double S Dirtworks. So we're anticipating now to get a construction schedule from them. I don't anticipate any dirt being moved until after the 4th. So we'll see what schedule we get back from them. But the good news is we have a notice to proceed and written concurrence from the USDA. We're anticipating, basically what USDA came back and said is please move forward. If we have anything, we're anticipating that's gonna be fine. This is from Dan Fisher at USDA. And I can provide, I think
Yeah,
I might have included that in the email to you guys. So just wanted to give that update that we're kind of finally got past that hurdle and are able to start getting ground moving for the new
Yes.
wastewater treatment facility. So we're happy about that. And that's it. That's all my updates. All right. Thank you for your time.
Sure.
all right, the next thing we've got is water system inventory. My slide has a ton of detail on it. This is what Mike Page is needing, right, for,
Oh, yeah.
was that in their packet?
We talked about it last time, that water system inventory.
The
that
parts you
Dan-
wanted to order and have on hand.
Yeah,
we-
Oh, yeah.
he was gonna check if
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I checked with USDA. The
project
concern-
money would pay
Yeah,
or not.
We just wanted to make sure, I actually thought they weren't gonna say yes to this. We posed the question to USDA, can the city use project funds? You guys have about $300,000 in contingency, project contingency, some of which will cover this change order, that we just talked about. And we posed the question like, hey, can the city buy some parts to have on the shelf for the water system, with project funds? And they said yes.
Okay.
So,
No limitation? On the
He
amount?
asked, what the USD asked for is for a list of the parts. They would like to see.
Did I send that
Yes,
to you?
yes, in principle, please send us the list of what you wanna buy and then they'll appreciate it.
So I sent that to you, but we haven't heard back.
Oh, okay, well, I might have missed it. It might
Okay.
be in my hands then, I apologize.
You got my
So-
private helicopter on there, right?
Yeah.
So we'll send that off to them. Actually, I might have, now that I say that, I think I might have forwarded it to Dan Fisher.
Okay.
I'll double check that it's in their hands, but I was happy to see that they're willing to cover that for you guys, especially, we kinda gave them a ballpark, I think it was around $20,000 to $30,000
Mhm.
in equipment, so, in materials, so you guys should be able to get that, and it'll chip away a little bit more at the project contingency, but.
Yeah, no more change orders.
But again, real quick on that, sorry, given where we're at in the project, we're doing really good with contingency. We've used about half, and we're just over half of the project, and the first chunk of that we used was all for those additional meters anyways. So it's not items that, where we, just didn't see anything coming, and oh no, here's this huge, the majority of the contingency we've used was for a planned expansion of the city's water system with more meters. So, we're sitting pretty good with your guys' project contingency.
Anything else on that? We'll move into our first citizens that's a tough word, apparently. Citizen participation for agenda items. Is there anybody out there that would like to speak at this time? Nope. Okay, moving on. We have an executive session for attorney consultation that, you put in there, Mindy, that was for just attorney consultation, right? Okay, so I would entertain a motion.
How long do we need?
Is it just for the contract? Or is there more?
There's more.
There's more, yeah.
More.
15?
15, yeah, probably 15 minutes, yeah, probably enough.
If we get the extra 5, we need it.
Yeah.
I make a motion that we go into executive for, attorney consultation and return to this room at 7:30.
By second?
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
I'm
And-
gonna bring your
Who's
speaker
carrying
with you.
Richard?
Good speaker.
And we'll be back. And we are back with no action taken. Moving on to old business. The first thing we have is our ordinance 278 on the connection to the public water line. And I believe we are going to table that because there's still a few things that we learned today we need to tweak. Do we need to discuss any of that? Probably.
Paige wanted the pressure in there.
Oh, yeah, we want to put in there that, the people need to make sure they've got the PRV valves, because, the water pressure is probably higher than most people are used to, so we want to make sure we get that in there. So it's not quite ready, but we'll have it for next time. Any questions on that from anybody?
Nope. We'll see the revised next time, is that what you're saying? We'll see the revised ordinance next meeting?
Yeah. Then the next one was ordinance 279 on the sewer and water tank requirements, where we needed to make sure there was proper distance between the water line and your sewer tanks. So that should be in your packet. Any questions or anything on that?
We have that one.
Sorry.
I motion that we accept ordinance number 279, establishing requirements for private sewage holding tanks and private water tanks in the city of Lynn Valley. There was no old one, this is, its name, or is that just amending?
Then we rewrite it
It
as
says,
a new one?
all ordinance and parts of ordinance in conflict with this ordinance are hereby repealed.
Right.
So,
I second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Ordinance passes. The next one was on ordinance 280 on the e-bikes that Corey brought up last meeting. Any questions, concerns on that?
Oh, I've heard a lot of concerns out in the community.
In favor or opposed to?
Uh,
A little bit of
people
both?
not being happy about how fast those
Oh,
e-bikes go.
yeah,
There's been other cities looking for ordinances too.
yeah, that's,
Yeah, I think Overland Park just put one up.
Overland Park, Leewood,
Leewood.
Olathe,
Everybody.
Prairie Village.
So, I'll make a motion that we pass ordinance number 280, an ordinance regulating the operation of electric assisted bicycles, high-power electric motorcycles, and electric dirt bikes within the city of Glendive, Kansas.
I'll second.
I'll second.
all in favor?
I,
Aye.
Ordinance passes. The next one is Resolution 149 on our fee schedule, and a couple changes on that one. What were the changes?
We changed,
The multiplier, right?
that's on there, and instead of $10 after the first 3,000, it went to 15.
What was the reason for that? I thought we had a pretty extensive discussion at the last meeting that we wanted to keep it at 10 and we could increase it to 15 at a later time. That was last meeting.
What did our minutes say?
That you guys increased it to 15.
Well, we approved the minutes, so.
The minutes said 15? So I think it was Richard that was talking about the 10.
I know we talked back and forth on it.
do you have a thing in the minutes there? Or on the computer?
And I believe it was Mayor Potter that said, yes, we'll keep it at 10, we don't want to overcharge, and then we can revisit it like in a year or so.
I remember saying that. I don't remember if that was consensus or not.
Did we vote on it?
It's not on the minutes.
I think there was some discussion on the commercial to leave it at 15 maybe. Maybe that was the difference.
Richard, do you remember that discussion?
I do, and I thought, like you, I thought if we were just gonna leave it as is and monitor it, for a year later, or, up to a year, and then make changes at that time. That's what I remember, and I'm looking at the minutes, and the only thing that we changed according to the minutes was, the $2,000 meter install fee, looks like.
No, they can rewrite this and we can pass it at the
That's
next
the
one.
next one, okay. So we will move that to the next one along with the other part of the water ordinance.
Other change order?
No, the other,
The one we're having table to add the PRV and stuff too.
Oh.
With that, we'll move on to new business. The first item we can't do because Mike is not here. That was in relation to assistance or payment plans or anything for the meter hookup charges for people that aren't on the grant meters. The next one was the planning and zoning consultant work. Shannon, you were going to look into what other cities did and what other consultants might be out there to use.
Yes, and I'm still working on it, and I should be complete, at least have a good chunk of information at the next meeting, but I'm finding that a lot of the towns have separated their planning and zoning committees or commissions, and so far, they just make a recommendation to the council, and the council will act on it or consult with their own engineer that they might have under contract. But I will complete a full report of all of the different cities. It makes a difference also, a lot of the towns have existing downtown, communities. I've looked at some of the smaller towns that don't really have a downtown, and they don't have that type of, commission formed or committee formed. And so the other towns that have existing downtowns are really actively engaging. Their planning commission acts separately with separate members and has separate meetings, separate minutes. So along that line, I'd like to know who is on our planning commission. I think it would be a good idea, or committee, I think it would be a good idea for us to put that on our city website so that everybody knows, and also,
It's on the website, it used to be anyway.
is it, the members are?
Yeah, Eric Victor,
Eric Victor, Eric Gross,
Oh, okay,
Eric
I
Rose,
missed it then.
Monty.
Monty.
Kalush.
And I'd like to hear, some updates from them, or know, kind of what their mission is, or,
Yeah,
that
so
type of
I
thing.
met with them 2 months ago, Matt? A month and a half, 2 months ago. Just kind of had a introduction, who I am, who they are, kind of thing. And, Eric Victor's been on it for like 20 years. And there was some confusion whether it's supposed to be 5 or 7 members, but I think we did finally find that it's supposed to be 5, which is what we have. But there's also some questions on the terms and the staggering of those terms, and if people were appointed, we really got to look at that whole thing and make sure our P and Z commission is right. And we are required by law to have one, right, Jamie?
Yes.
Yeah, I thought so. Whether or not they use consultants or just make their own recommendations, that's, I think, what's kind of more up in the air. So,
I will give you a good report with more identities of the, different cities or towns, and information on,
and
Their
I'll
structure.
get you the contacts for everybody that's on there now, if you wanna reach out to any of them.
okay.
Any questions for her on that from anybody?
Thank you for doing this.
Yeah, it's, the League of Municipalities doesn't separate out the different classes of cities, so you just have to go through the different cities and
Yeah.
research if they have a website. Some have good websites, others don't, so.
The last thing I have in new business wasn't on the agenda, but it came up recently, is the noxious weeds. Paige asked me to put something in there. Basically, it's what was shared on Facebook. We are required to deal with noxious weeds. It's a state thing. Is there anything else you want to add to that, or no?
What do you mean it was on Facebook?
The
She
picture.
had Corey post it, and I think I've seen it posted around a few
I
others.
haven't seen it. Oh, yeah.
You don't spend all your time
Yeah, it
on
was like a
Facebook?
yellow weed or something.
It's right there. It's right there.
Yeah.
There's the pretty
There's one.
sign they made. Maybe the concern, there's a bunch of this musk thistle
Yeah,
around. That apparently is a pretty bad deal.
it is.
Apparently it's from, some people are saying it's a good weed too. It's got some medicinal purposes, but, the state says we have to get rid of it, so.
We had that, yes, some folks are trying to argue that on the police post one, but
Yeah.
it's not a weed, but.
Well, it might be,
It's like-
if you
No,
want.
it actually, you can argue in the state of Kansas, they say.
Yeah.
Well, isn't the sunflower a noxious weed, considered a noxious weed under the,
What's that?
I think sunflower is considered a noxious weed as well.
Do not.
There's like 5 or something of them.
I would
No?
hope the state
I
flowers.
thought,
Yeah, I would
well,
hope not.
but I thought I'd seen that somewhere.
It's quite possible, I don't know.
Does anybody,
Did we miss a
Got you
city
too.
ordinance?
Do what?
Which city ordinance?
261 tiny homes.
Oh,
that got pulled.
That
Yeah.
got pulled.
Yeah, sorry.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Matthew's not quite ready on that one, so we pulled that one.
Okay.
Does anybody else have anything new business wise?
So what are we supposed to do with this noxious weed? If it's like on our property, we're supposed to kill it?
Yep.
Dig it up.
And
spray it.
is the city having to, on city property,
We'll have to get rid of what's
Engage
on our property, and it
an
could be a code,
exterminator.
we do need to write up some codes, language around it. So I look for some advice from Jamie on exactly what we need to do on that.
And how to get rid of it is simply chopping it down and leaving it there, won't do it.
it'll come
Yeah.
back,
It'll see.
like a dandelion?
Come
Yeah.
back.
Dig it up, salt the earth, have a
My dad used to
ritual,
make us
some
dig 'em up.
chanting, it's the whole thing.
When I was a kid, my
Electrify.
dad used to make
Huh?
us dig them up.
Corey, that's me.
Yeah. I did have something.
Okay.
We discussed Euler Road and who was on it and whatever else, but, most of you probably noticed if you're doing about 30 mph past the fire station, you'll pretty well go airborne. Through that gigantic valley that's starting to form there.
Yeah.
I haven't tried that yet.
Something we can look at what's gonna cost maybe to get that, not just there, there's some spots up by the, lake shop as well where it's fluffing off into
Yeah.
ditches maybe.
That one,
Yeah, see what maybe if we could get somebody to give us a cost of what that would be to repair all that. And I don't know what our special highway funds are sitting at.
Yeah, we've got some
Well, I
money.
don't know whose road it is.
Well,
Yeah, we gotta figure out whose
it's
road
the
it is
county's
first.
responsibility.
We don't, the county says it's their road.
Well, so we need to figure that out. I know in the past, we have paid.
Yeah, we have,
To fix it.
until they charged us $40,000.
We probably need to.
Now
Yeah.
we're gonna discuss whose road it is.
Yeah.
2400's gotten bad enough at times where we have paid to replace people's tires.
Mhm.
Well, they hit the potholes, so.
I've already contacted him once,
Yeah.
so I'm gonna call him again tomorrow.
And see if we can get a meeting.
Cause we ought to get these quarries to put something toward
Yeah.
it.
Because if I'm in the office and somebody's pulling a trailer by there, you think they're coming through the building the way it sounds, so.
How's the,
Once people figure it out, you can see them slowing down before they know it's there now.
Have you noticed?
What do you mean you didn't
Probably
notice?
slowing down to turn into the fire station.
Oh,
Oh.
yeah.
It's going by there at 40.
Okay.
Hang on to your steering wheel. It's gonna be right.
How's-
It's gonna be right.
how does the covered wagon
Well,
do
I've
over it?
always noticed that, when you get to one property, it dips off. It's always dipped off, like like the ground is settled or something. And you do have to be holding onto your steering
And
wheel.
I think that's probably where that, the big one there from next to the fire station, that's where the, rural water line comes across from that fire hydrant, so that's probably some of it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Anything else?
Corey doing fireworks sales again?
Yes, I started setting them up today. So if you're volunteering to come help, we got a lot of pricing.
Has anybody seen the Jake's fireworks that they opened up at the old dog track?
Do what?
Jake's fireworks, they opened up at the old dog track just north of Pittsburgh.
Oh, down at Pittsburgh?
Yeah.
I haven't been down there yet.
I'll have
Saw
to,
something went in there, I didn't
It was
know.
massive.
I'll be going down there in the morning. I'm going back to Miami for the rest of the week.
Well, don't mean you have to stop there.
No, but I can look, I just wanna see it. I'm not gonna buy anything, I'll
Yeah,
buy it
just
from
a
here, I
tourist
just wanna see
attraction.
it.
Come on, there had to be 80 to 100 cars in there
Oh my God.
Saturday.
I came through there last night, I mean, I knew they put something in that dog track, but I didn't know what it was.
Wow.
I didn't even know there was a dog track.
Pittsburgh. That track that got built that never got used and just sat there rotting
Yeah.
away forever.
I thought it did get used for a
It
couple
got used
of
for a
years.
little bit,
I don't know.
and then the state wouldn't let them put slot machines in it, so they closed it.
Yeah.
Anybody out there want to participate in citizen participation?
Rifle fireworks.
One more thing,
One more thing.
we're having a meeting of the Lynn Valley Park Club on the 28th at the clubhouse,
Cool.
3 in the afternoon, so we'll see who shows up.
Do we have to have a car to come, or can we just come look?
Come and look at it,
Okay.
I'll sell you mine.
She'll tell me no, or I see right back, she's already telling me no back there, yeah, so.
I'll never get my money out of it, but I'll sell it to you.
Is Lenny Asher bringing his?
I don't know, we're trying to get people interested.
I love looking at
Well,
cars.
Danny's got some being worked on too, that the
I know
renter
Bob,
this,
Bob Bell has a bunch of cars, I'd like to see him.
yeah.
Drive one.
Well, Danny's black one has won several awards.
Yeah.
but the guy that reworks his cars is renting that house over by my family.
Offerings out
What
there.
time is it? I'll try to get my truck there.
Tickets and
Three
stuff like that.
3
PM,
PM, 28th.
28,
Okay.
June 28th? Wait,
Yeah. Yeah, 3 o'clock.
That's a Sunday? Yep, cool. Well, if there's nothing else, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second? All in
I'll
favor?
second.
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, everybody, for coming and watching online.
There must be a feed
We'll see you
delay.
next time.